Okay, hello. Welcome everybody to another episode of The Aligned Feminine. Today I am sitting down with Lilya Sabatier. Lilya has 20 plus years of experience in personal development, transmutation, and embodied living. She is currently accompanying humans as a holistic guide, space holder, teacher, and international facilitator in self-leadership using a multi-modality approach. Her area of focus and where she thrives is through journeying alongside people to reconnect them to their whole self. Welcome, Lilya. I am so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I'm super happy to be here. What an introduction. I feel great about myself. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. And taking from your introduction, I think I would love for you to go deeper and talk a little bit more about what is space holding.
Okay, yeah, interesting question. Space holding is an art. And I think it's a word that's used very frequently and a lot nowadays. It's become the cool thing.
Yeah.
How I would explain space holding is obviously only through the lens of my own experience. And I just want to put it out there that, I don't claim to have the truth or the only truth. I'm always just sharing my experience and perspective. And so for me, space holding is the art of witnessing someone, of really being completely, to the best of our human ability, present with them in the moment with whatever is happening, and just offering them a space of total presence, free of judgment.
Yeah.
And just being in that space with them. So if they're going through something beautiful, to be with them in that. If they're going through something difficult, to be with them in that. And just be humans together in that space. I think there's a certain etiquette also that needs to be there, and integrity also. But then that's also very dependent on the space holder and the space holder's personality, because you and I may have very different ways of holding space.
Yeah.
Like any kind of art, right? It's very also dependent on the person who's
Absolutely.
the artist,
Yeah.
I would say. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I also feel, because I have to keep reminding myself that because you are holding this space and you have to enter into that space with absolute unconditional love. And it's so easy to, at least for me personally, I do have moments where sometimes I find myself slipping and beginning to judge. And so I have to remind myself that no, like you're doing this. And so it also, I think, while you're holding space, you also have to make sure that you keep your cup full all the time, so that because you are able to love yourself unconditionally, can you then hold that space where people feel that they are not judged and it's a safe space and they can be vulnerable enough to sort of work with whatever is alive for them, right?
Yeah, see, I think it's a tricky thing because ultimately you and I and every other space holder I know, we're human. And as such, we have challenges that we go through, even if we're holding space. I think the difference for me between a remarkable space holder and what I would say regular space holder is a remarkable space holder is completely fully aware of their own humanity, and they bring that to the space. There's no shame in admitting that, I noticed that I was passing judgment. And in being able to be vulnerable about that and share about that, we also learn about our own self and where we struggle with our own.
Absolutely.
Where we're judging ourselves, essentially, right? So I really feel that the more human we can be in this capacity of space holder, the better we are at space holding, because it's just humans together trying to just move through something together. Ultimately, there's no difference between the space holder and the person who's in the space. We're all together in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, all right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what are like all the healing modalities that you sort of work with, you offer to your clients?
Sure. So we are going to be here for the next 12 hours. Yes. So, see, I want to put it as simply as I can. I've been doing this work for 20 ongoing years, and I think till I die, I will be doing this work in one form or the other. Now, that being said, because I've been doing this work for such a long time, I've dabbled in a variety of modalities. First and foremost, with my own self, and then obviously now as someone who shares whatever wisdom I have with other people. And so, it goes from modalities that deal with energy to modalities that deal with the body to modalities that deal with emotions, modalities that deal with the psyche and the mind, and also the whole spiritual component and the spiritual aspect of our lives. So, I would say now I work with 25 plus modalities.
Wow. Okay.
But the way it is now in my life at this juncture in my journey, and it may be different, in 2 years, is that you reach a point after so many years where everything kind of morphs, and so when I'm approaching someone, I'm not approaching them through the lens of one modality. I'm seeing them, and then the modalities that are helpful come to me. And they all kind of merge into a mix of, I call it like a masala mix.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And whatever serves you best, that's what we're going to do. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, you did, of course, of course. So I do want to dive into regarding the body, like when you work with the body, how do you work with the body? As in, if you could maybe talk about how a certain session would look like or feel like to a client if they were coming to you and you were working with their body.
Sure. So, see, before I get into that, I just want to make sure that I'm being clear that even though it's like body, mind, emotions, spirit, right? Everything is interconnected.
Of course.
Yeah. So when we're working with one, we're working with everything, right? So if you come to me and we want to work through the body, because perhaps that's the most accessible way or the most necessary way for you in this moment, it'll be different from person to person. But what I can tell you is that essentially I'm going to have a conversation with the person's body. Now, what does that mean in simpler terms? That means that through my hands, through energy, I will start touching the body, obviously always with consent, and I will start to understand the map of the body. What is going on in this body? Where is it constricted? Where is it expansive? Where is there emotion? How is the breath pattern? And so the dialogue starts. And then also the way that I receive information. So while I'm working with the body, I get messages. And so I share that. And so then it also becomes a dialogue of, hey, I'm receiving this message. If it's relevant for you, let me know. So it goes through the hands and energy. I like to know as little as possible about the person before they come. Especially for anything to do with what I call body liberation. That's the modality that I've created as a combination of different modality practices.
Lovely. Okay.
So if you came to me for body liberation, I wouldn't want to know anything about you. I would want you to lie down, and then I would decide if I need to start the here or there, depending on the energy. And we would just go with the flow and see what comes up.
Wow. Okay.
And generally a lot of stuff comes up because a lot of us have stuff stored in our bodies. A lot of us don't know what to do with it. A lot of us have been through one form of trauma or the other, or multiple. And a lot of us are disconnected from our bodies. So there's also a process of reconnection that happens in these sessions of, oh, wow, I'm feeling sensations, or I'm noticing how I'm breathing, or I love it because I feel like a detective. And the mission is to connect you to you and to figure out where you're disconnected from yourself. So it's exciting for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow, body liberation. I love the name as well. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. And now I do want to ask you, what does being in your feminine energy, being in your feminine essence, what does that mean to you? What does that look like to you?
That's It's a question. I'm like, how do I qualify it? Interesting, challenging question.
Yeah, because personally for me, I have, I have discovered this concept recently. Like I learned about it a few years back that there's this feminine energy and there's masculine energy, and we have both of them within us. And that is when I learned that I have been in my masculine since the day I was born, probably, I don't know, because of all the traumas. And so now it's like, okay, I get to consciously work on cultivating this feminine side of myself and discover this side of myself. So I want to know from you, like, what is it for you?
See, I think like many women, I I am it's a journey, and I don't know that I will arrive at this is what it is for me. I think where I am right now is how I understand the feminine and the masculine inside of me and outside is being and doing. And that's how I relate to it. Am I balanced between how much I'm doing and how much I'm just being? And in my doing, am I being also? And in my being, can I not do? I don't.
Yeah.
I think it's like everything. It's like creation and consumption. Giving and taking, or giving and receiving, for example. Yeah. So that's how I would look at it. I am also a little bit concerned because I'm seeing a lot of polarization, which happens a lot when we start discovering things. And, we need to almost get polarized to then come back to unity. And I'm seeing this a lot in the space, in the wellness space of, we're going in this direction of really wanting the feminine. And I understand it because we've been suppressed, repressed, denied for so long as women with all of those qualities in us. But I also see the danger of that, because that unity needs to exist within us before it can exist outside. So I feel like, yeah, for me, it's the balance between being and doing. And for me, the feminine is being and flow, and the masculine is more doing and structure.
Yeah.
And I would say for me, the masculine is a little bit more constricted energy-wise. It's a little bit more compact. And the feminine is more fluid and expansive. So I try to see also within my body, when am I, for example, workouts, like I do high intensity workouts, and I know that makes me more compact. And if I do yoga, I feel like it helps me to expand and create more space. And so then that softness comes in, right? So yeah, being, doing, and that dance between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Being and doing. And yeah, for me, just being has been one of the most difficult things to learn, but I am learning slowly.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's so hard. See, if we're being honest, when were you ever educated to just be? And not that be who you are, or at least know who you are. No one's ever educated us for that. We were educated to be productive members of society. And as such, to feel like our value and our worth is attached to how much or how little we're able to produce. So all of us are struggling with this on some level or the other. Like, how can we just be? Like, can we move away from doing? Oh my God, I didn't do anything today. And that this doomsday feeling of, I just wasted my day today just having fun.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And how does this, how does all this like repression that women have been facing for generations and generations, how has that now trickled down to what kind of relationships we have with our bodies? If you could dive a little deeper into that.
Yes. Because it's really, as a someone who identifies as a woman, it's something that I'm really working with over the last couple of years as I mature and become, I would say, more and more of a woman. See, I noticed something during the pandemic, and I want to share this through a bit of my story, is I was in the shower, and this story is not going where you might think it's going, okay? I was in the shower, and I had an epiphany in the shower And it was so strong that I was just standing there sobbing in the shower. And this is what happened inside of me. I understood that, at the time I was maybe 34, 35. I understood that I had spent almost all of that time in my life engaging, relating, looking at my body through the lens of male desire and through the lens of, is my body desirable enough or not?
Oof. Yeah.
And I felt profound sadness when I had that realization, because I realized how reductionist that is. That means I've spent 34 years of my life daily looking at my body as, is it desirable or not? And for whom? Men? And then I was like, wow, if I've been doing this and I consider myself as someone who's been working on her self-awareness for a very long time, I can't imagine how many women are relating with their body the same way. And then it led me to another realization, which is that my body is an amazing vehicle. It allows me to eat, to taste delicious food, to hug the people I love, to run, to experiment with life, to create beautiful things, to have amazing intimacy, anything, to swim in the ocean, to feel the breeze. And here I am thinking of it only as, am I good looking enough according to some societal male patriarchal standard or not? And that made me profoundly sad, Akanksha, because I felt like, what am I doing with my time, with my life, thinking about this when it has no relevance whatsoever? And then I understood how deeply I was conditioned to see myself that way. And so if I'm conditioned about that, what else am I conditioned about? So that's kind of, and I see it in my work every day. I see it in my friends, close and far. We're all in some way struggling with this body of ours, because we have this seed that it should look a certain way, feel a certain way, be a certain way, so it's desirable for men. And we should also compete against each other for the man. And I'm like, really? Really? This is what we were taught? Why on earth? Who does it benefit? It doesn't benefit us. And so I always think about it, who is this benefiting? Because it's not benefiting me to see myself this way. It's benefiting someone else. Maybe the cosmetics industry, the beauty industry, the men who love women competing for them, maybe. I don't know, right? But those are kind of the things that I'm actively really working on showing up exactly as I am. No makeup, pimples. This is what it is. I just recently colored my hair. Usually it's white, but just because I felt like doing it, not for any, because for me, that's how I reclaim my sense of self and my relationship to my body. Who are you to tell me what my body should look like? It's not here to be a product on display. It's here for me to experiment life, because that's why I have this vehicle. Otherwise, I would be, I don't know, a leaf or, some energy floating somewhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got really passionate there, but...
No, please, we need that. We need that passion. We need that passion towards ourselves and our own bodies, right? And I also feel that comes with when you have developed a relationship with your body, because when you don't even have a relationship with your body, when you're so disconnected, then you can't even go into these realizations or into this awareness that, oh wow, this is where I'm gaining my, this is where I'm getting my sense of worth from, right? So I think the first step is to develop that relationship with the body. Do you have any, specific practices or anything that you do where you're consciously moving towards like having a better relationship with your body now that you know that, this is how you were living for so long, and now you want to have your body for yourself and not for the masculine gaze? So is there anything that you do, like any practices?
That was so beautiful what you said. I just want to highlight it, to have your body for yourself, not for the masculine gaze. I really like that. Sorry, it just hit me in a very simple way, and so thank you for saying that. See, I think where I am right now, the things that I'm doing, for me, the most important thing is to have a healthy body. Now, what does that mean for me? That means I want to feel energy throughout the day. I want to feel mobility. I want to feel comfortable in my own skin. I don't want to be limited when wanting to do the things that I want to do through this body, right? Whether that's jumping into a pool or walking or just sitting in meditation, whatever it is that I want to engage with my body and to do, I want to be comfortable doing that. So some of the things that I do, for example, to really develop a relationship with my body, one is food. Like, what am I eating? What is the fuel I am giving my body? And obviously, no judgments here. Everyone is where they are on their journey, and to each his own. For me, what works is, I would say, a balanced, healthy diet that I enjoy also. So I'll be mindful of what I eat, where I eat. I try to eat home as much as possible because I know I have more control on what goes inside, right?
Of course, yeah.
So home food. Then also, I work out and I practice different movement modalities for myself because I know it just helps me to get rid of tension, to manage my energy. It also makes me feel stronger. I know I need to, women, as we mature, we need to be really mindful to keep our bone density and to keep our muscles, because that helps us later when we go through menopause. We might have risk of, osteoporosis, arthritis, all that. So I'm just doing, I would say very simply, I'm doing all the things I know to do to take care of my body so that I can enjoy my life as long as possible without any limitation. So from what I put inside my body to who do I hang out with, who am I intimate with, how am I talking to myself. So meditation is also a way for me to take care of my body because it allows me to align everything. So there are many, a warm shower, cold shower. I would say for me, what works the best is little things that you can do in your daily life.
Yeah, just, how can you just keep showing up for yourself in whatever way you can, right? And that's where you start building from, I suppose.
What do you do? I'm curious. Like, what are the things you do to connect to your body and to have a healthy relationship with your body?
So yeah, again, food is a big one for me. I, again, try to eat homemade food as much as I can. And of course, this has changed over the years. I have been an alcohol abuser in my 20s, but now I don't drink anymore. And it's just happened. I think it happened because I started on my healing journey and I started developing this relationship with my body. And then I went like, why the fuck am I doing this to my body? Like, this does not serve me at all. And slowly, those habits just kind of started dropping on their own, I would say. But consciously, lately, I really enjoy doing just like intuitive free flow movement to music. And, I bring in the breath. And so it's like, okay, I feel into like what is alive for me. Maybe there's some anger that's there that I haven't processed. And so then how will I express that anger? And so then I'll start shaking and I'll like completely like stick my tongue out and be screaming at like nothing. And that really gets the energy like moving and flowing. It makes me feel alive. And I love doing that because I think that really helps me build a deeper communication system with my body, as in like, what is my body trying to communicate with me right now? Like, what sensation can I feel into right now? So that I really enjoy doing. Other than that, I have started exploring this whole different universe in a way of like self-pleasure. Because I'm single and I'm not currently, have access to sexual intimacy right now with another person. And so then it's like, how can I cultivate that relationship with myself, because pleasure is such a huge part of healing as well. Because when you allow yourself to feel more and more pleasure, it's like you're opening yourself up to even more abundance for yourself, right? And so I actually equate it with how open, how relaxed, how worthy do you find yourself of receiving pleasure, and that shows up in your external as well. That yes, then I feel like I'm worthy to receive abundance, which is not just in money, but it's also in how can I thrive in my relationships. And I think it's all connected that way. So I find it very interesting to like dive deep into this kind of stuff also.
Cool. I'm all for self-pleasure. The more the merrier, may everybody enjoy.
Yeah. And okay, so diving into because I said money, diving into the energetics of money, and also, what kind of a relationship do you have with money? How has that changed over the years? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a super important topic in general, and specifically for women. I've noticed myself and other women that it is a challenge for a lot of us. I don't think it's surprising. I think there are many reasons for this, which I don't want to get into, in a general way, but I will say this: my relationship to money has been like a really weird, unhealthy, back and forth, love and hate relationship. And I think a lot of it has to do with some of my foundational beliefs around money. I think growing up in a country like India, it's difficult not to see disparity. It's difficult not to see the difference between the wealthy and the people who are poor. And, and obviously because of also the systems and how things are set up. So I think I grew up very aware that there was disparity in the world. And in my growing up, what the belief that came about was that money was the root of all evil. Money was the problem for all the problems of the world were related to money. And so I was stuck with this thing, and I was just stuck with it. And so even though I had an aspiration to have money, which is where then the conflict happens inside, because you live in a material world. Money is a thing of the material world, and we need it all to thrive and create and live prosperous lives. So I had this conflict going on between the belief that money is evil, the root of all the problems on the planet, and I need money, and I actually want lots of money because I have lots of dreams, and for those dreams I need money. And so I was just like going inside that conflict that we all have about different things. And so I really struggled with money. A very long time ago, I was in the corporate world, and I was working in Paris, typical corporate ambition. I was making really great money. And then I think when my more spiritual life kicked in, I started to really struggle with the idea of the material, and it was almost like a rejection of the material. No, because I'm spiritual, I'm so above all this stuff. Why the material? That ego, that spiritual ego that you get in the beginning, where you think you're so above all of this stuff, right? Thankfully, you grow out of it and you notice, wait, I'm actually a human. However spiritually inclined I may be, I'm still a human. I do all these human things. Money is one of them.
Yeah.
So I think where I am now is that I'm very clear that money is a means to an end. Money is not the end. And I think that's, for me, one of the biggest challenges that we have as a wider collective, is that for a lot of people, money has become the end. And we're doing things just for money. And I understand it. There's no judgment of that. I understand why it's there, why it exists. But I think that's one of our challenges. It's like, why do we want money? Like, for example, why do I want money? I don't want money for money. What am I just going to do with piles of money if I'm not like, I want money to travel, to create the things that I love, to build the things that I want to build, to create, stuff for my community and be of service. But in and of itself, it has no value. It's very neutral. So I think where I am today is I understand that money is neutral. I understand that what we do with it or don't do with it depends on our level of consciousness. It depends on our beliefs and our habits. And I think more and more people who have more and more consciousness need to have more and more money, because I know that the more consciousness you have, the more you will handle money with the attitude that is required for it, which is that it is there to enhance life, not to create more divide, more separation, more. It's there to enhance our lives, and not just my own, but other people's as well. So I'm in a place where I feel like I'm developing a healthy relationship with money at this point in my life. I wouldn't say I'm 100% there. I'm most of the time there. And I have no shame about wanting money, and wanting lots of it. I know what I mean by lots. I know what I need it for. And I also feel that I wish I would have learned about money, the dynamic of money, what to do with money, earlier in my life, because maybe I would have more of it to do more of the things that I want to do. All of it would not only benefit me, but I know that the things I want to do will benefit other people.
Yep.
So everybody wins, right? So, but it's a challenging journey. Like, I mean, like any relationship, I would say it has its ups and downs. But I'm really seeing it now as a relationship. And am I being healthy in this relationship? And, you know, there's a thought that really helped me, and that might help someone who's listening, which was that if money was a person, right? And I'm constantly bitching about them, and I'm like, no, you know, they're the reason there's so much trouble in the world. They're so annoying. They're like, why would they come to visit me? Why would they come to see me?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And so then yeah, that's a fair point. Like, why would they? It would be insanity to come to someone who's constantly bitching about you. And so one practice that I did for myself that really helped me was I wrote letters to money.
I love that. Okay.
And in my little journal, you know, nobody's business, just between me and money, I said, hey, money, I'm sorry. I apologize. I really thought you were the problem. You were the problem in the world. But I understand it's not you. It's just what people do with you. It's what people have made of you. But you actually, you're just you. You're doing your thing. You're pretty neutral. There's nothing about you that's positive or negative. And so I went through this whole process of writing letters to money and just having conversation with money like I would with you or any other being or entity. And it started shifting things inside of me.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love the practice of writing the letter for money. And I also really loved it when you said that money is not the end. It's because most people are so just have their blinders on that, yeah, I need to make more money. But like, why are you making that money? Like, what are you going to use that money for? And are you going to keep working for money all your life, or are you going to allow money to also work for you instead and, you know, bring your dreams into fruition? So that was really lovely. Thank you for sharing that, Lilya.
I want to just say one thing, because you made me think of that right now, is that, you know, like everything in our lives, it can either be something that serves our freedom or that keeps us trapped. And I same for money, like the illusion of wanting more money, money and safety and the security of money can keep us trapped. And so I think it's like that balance of being and doing. Okay, can I be real about it? Can I be honest about it? But can I not get trapped in the illusion of money so that it stays something that helps me get freer and more expansive, and not something that's keeping me stuck and limited?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, you know, if money was someone that you were in a relationship with, if you're going to keep your money locked away and hoard and stuck in one room, obviously they're not going to want to be with you, right? So you have to also give money that freedom and let it also flow in and out as well. It can't just be all in. Yeah.
Yeah, beautifully put, honestly. Yeah, for sure. Like imagine if you locked up your partner in the room and you're like, you have to stay there now forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gave me an idea.
All right, that was a good conversation around money. I would like you to please also share what your journey has looked like, how you started your healing journey, and what you would like to share from your story.
Yeah. So I would say that my healing journey started when I was born. I think I was born to heal my journey.
Yeah, as all of us are, but yeah.
Right? So, I mean, probably someone knocked me on the head before I agreed to come to planet Earth. I think I was not in my right senses. But anyways, here we are. And so I think my journey started when I was a really young kid. I was super sensitive, super attuned to the world around me, super inquisitive about the world around me. I would ponder deep philosophical questions when I was 5, 6 years old. So I think I always had that spiritual seeking kind of fiber to me. I'm just bifurcating, but I met this astrologer in Mysore, years ago, and he was doing my naksha. I don't know how you call it, this my Vedic chart basically.
Yeah.
He had said, in your past life you were a sannyasi.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Whether true or not, listen, for me, it's, but I just thought it was funny because I think I did come into this world with a really strong inclination towards spirit, spirituality, contemplation, humanity, like wondering about humanity, like why we do the things that we do. I've always been asking why. I think I was the why machine since I'm a kid. Um, and obviously, I think like anybody who starts on a healing journey, there are things that catalyze us into that journey. And for me, I think I accumulated a lot of early childhood traumas. I would say, just to give you a range, it goes from physical abuse, like hitting and beating, to sexual abuse, to bullying, to being moved to a different country, X, Y, Z. Then I fell off a roof in my teenage years. So I would say that throughout from 6 to 16, I went through a series of every couple of weeks or months or years, couple of traumas here and there, and eventually, I think the real aspect, I would say, of my healing journey of where I am right now started when I was 16. I fell off a roof and I hurt myself. And after that, my whole life changed. I started getting phobias that I never had before. So I was afraid of being outdoors. I was afraid of being in crowds. I was afraid of leaving the house. Like everything you can think of, I was afraid.
Yeah.
And so I had to figure out how to get myself out of there. And so I would say from 16 to 29, I went through what I would call now my very long, tiring initiation. Even though it started when I was a kid, I think that's really when everything kicked in and I was conscious and adult enough or mature enough to kind of now, okay, start working on it rather than just getting hurt. Right. Yeah. So I started doing all the things possible, and which is why I know so many modalities, because I was looking for something to keep me alive, to survive, because for the longest time I didn't want to be on the planet. I didn't want to be alive. From 16 to 29, I went through a lot of depression, anxiety. I was suicidal. And in that, I was still living my life somehow. I still did higher studies. I still, I honestly, I don't know to date how I managed all that. But I would say 16 is when things really kicked off. And then I never looked back, in the sense that I've been working on myself consciously, if not every day, very often since that age. So, I'm now 37. That's a few years. yeah, I've had to overcome a lot of things to be sitting here with you. And I never thought I would live past 30. I never imagined that I would have a life. Like for me, I thought I would be dead by the age of 30. One, because I didn't want to live. Two, because it was so hard that I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Like I can't wake up and go through the day in this state for the next 30, 40, 50 years. It just felt like, oh my God, like I can't do it. It's too hard. It's too painful. I mean, I was I can't describe what state I was in. I was in a really dark space. Now in retrospect, I understand that it was an initiation. I also understand that I had the strength to withstand it and to actually what I call alchemize it. I think it could have destroyed me, and I almost thought it did, but somehow I don't want to say it made me better because I don't want to validate trauma or traumatic behaviors. I think despite it, I haven't lost my essence, which is something that I'm super grateful of. I didn't become a mean, bitter person who wants to harm other people. I didn't let it deter my essence. And I think, in fact, if anything, it strengthened my essence. Obviously, it brought a lot of difficulty to my life. It made it more difficult for me to be successful. It made it more difficult for me to have healthy relationships. And, trauma makes everything more difficult. But it did not destroy my essence. And in fact, I would say it's even more deeply anchored, because if whatever I've been through hasn't changed me, I mean, it's changed me in many ways, but deep inside, it hasn't changed that little girl who wants to live in a beautiful world where everybody is healed and everybody is working together towards beautiful things. So for me, that's my personal victory.
That is beautiful. Thank you, Lilya, for sharing that. And I am glad that I am sitting here and having this conversation with you today. So I'm glad you made it. and yeah, out of all this, is there, if you were to share, a piece of advice with your younger self, what would that be, right? What if you could say something to her, what would you say to her?
So I will say to her, because she is here. She is here with us today, and she has survived all of the things she didn't think she would survive.
Yeah.
I would say to her, there are a couple of things I'm thinking about. One, I would, as the adult that I am today, I would apologize to her that it took me so long to show up for her. It took me so long to have the courage to show up for her. And I know she was, left alone in dark places for a really long time. So I would apologize to her. And I would also tell her that the world is her oyster, that she's awesome, that she has the most beautiful heart, that I want the best for her. And as an adult, within my own capacity, I will do everything and anything for her to have the life that she dreamed of when she was a kid, for her to have all the beautiful things that she wanted to have when she was a kid. Because honestly, I don't like the word deserve so much, but for that little girl to have made it through, seeing how sensitive she was and so how much she went through at such a young age with no support, I want her to have the most joyous, expansive, successful, vibrant, playful, exciting life. And I want her to know that I am now showing up in a capacity to help her have that life. And I apologize, it took me so long to get here, but I was also stuck. So, and that she's awesome. And I think that the last thing I would want to say so many things to her, but for us and the purpose of this conversation, I would say to her that I know that she struggles with believing that she's enough. Oh, it's mixed. Yeah, the emotion is there.
Yeah.
But that she is enough. and she always has been, and she doesn't need to do anything to be enough. She doesn't have to say anything to be enough. She is enough. And I know she doesn't believe that yet, but as I said, I am here now as the adult, and I'm showing up, and I'm consciously working on getting to a place where she, me as the adult, and other parts of me can feel like we are enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my very long love letter to my little.
Thank you. Yeah, I think my inner child also thanks you for saying all that. Thank you. Oh. Wow. Okay. One thing you said, why don't you like using the word deserve? What's behind that?
I don't know. I think it just puts us in this mindset that something's owed to us, and I don't want to come from that space. Like, I don't think it's about deserving or not deserving. It's just like it is what it is, and that.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like I don't want to get into that energy of, oh, I deserve this, and if I don't have it, then I think it puts us in this kind of demanding energy of.
Interesting.
That I don't think is helpful. Actually, Carolyn Mice, I hope I'm pronouncing it properly, who's a wonderful woman who does a lot of work in this space. You know, she's been in this space way longer than you and I combined. She was talking about this talk I saw many years ago where she was saying if you can do one thing for yourself is remove the word deserve from your vocabulary. Nothing is owed to you. Live like that, then everything is possible. Because
that's beautiful. Yeah.
Like feeling like something is owed to us is like it's like a limitation in a way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. All right. Okay, great. I would now, towards the end of our episode, I'd like you to share with us, you know, if somebody wants to work with you, where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you? I will, of course, put the details in the captions as well, but if you could share that.
Yep, sure. So I have a website, which is basically my full name. So www.lilyasabatier.com. I have Instagram, Lilya Agape. Agape is a form of love, which is why I chose that name. It's unconditional love.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So in Greece, in ancient Greece, you have these different forms of love. You have eros, agape, and different ones that I'm not remembering right now. So agape is unconditional love, which is why
I love that. Okay.
So my Insta handle is Lilya Agape. And also on my Instagram profile, which I'm working on right now, I could definitely use support from you. You're very good at it. I've been reluctant to Instagram for a long time. So in that you have also a link to my website. I mainly work one-on-one with people because I feel like the times that we're in right now require for one-on-one support and understanding, and it's not a quick fix. Like the type of work we need to do right now is deep work, and I think we can't be in the illusion that it's going to be like, hey, we're going to do a breathwork session and everything is going to be. Yeah. I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm still working on stuff, and some of it is the same stuff I was working on 15 years ago. So one-on-one, and I also do work in group because community care is super important to me. So I have this online well-being community where we meet twice a week in the morning. Wednesday and Friday, 7:45 to 8:45. And in that, what I do is I combine the 20 years of experience and modalities. So we move our bodies. We generally do also meditation or breathing or visualizations. Then we do a bit of journaling, and we also connect with each other and share with each other. So the way I thought about it is like a group of buddies where we just come together. We just take care of ourselves and each other twice a week. And then we go into the world more connected and we share that vibe with other people around us.
That sounds lovely. That sounds lovely.
So that's the stuff. And I'm also working on creating courses right now, which will be accessible online at some point this year, because this is a year of expansion for me and of really showing up more and more in my work and in this space. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lilya, for all the wisdom that you have shared with us today. I think all the women that will listen to this episode will be able to take something away from it, which will help in their growth, in their connection to themselves. And for that, I thank you so much. Thank you for being with me, and I will hopefully see you in person soon.
Yeah. I would love to see you in person, and I wanted to also just thank you for this space, and for being you, and for thinking of making this podcast and the intention that you have behind it. So thank you so much for that. We need more and more spaces where we can have these
Yes.
conversations with each other. So
Yes, absolutely.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye.